So what's nice about playing with trigonometry is that it works for all sorts of triangles. So there are many triangles that exist where the degrees are 30 and 60 and 90 degrees. All right, it's kind of easy to apply that to all sorts of situations. We saw in that last video that anytime you have an equilateral triangle, if you divide it like this, straight down, you wind up with two 30, 60, 90s. And we also derived how we can come up with the true 30, 60, 90 triangle. So this right here applies to all 30, 60, 90 triangles. The hypotenuse is exactly twice as long as the leg, and the legs have a ratio with each other of square root of 3. Like if you were to take the short leg and times it by the square root of 3, that would give you the longer leg. What we're going to do is we're going to use this triangle to find sine of 30 degrees. Okay? So remember that sine is defined to be the opposite over the hypotenuse. All right, so this definition, what we find for sine of 30 is going to always be true, always apply to sine of 30 degrees. All right, because it has to do with similar triangles. Anyway, sine of 30, so if you're looking from this angle, the opposite side is going to be 1, and the hypotenuse is equal to 2. So there you go. Sine of 30 is equal to 1/2. All right, let's look at cosine of 30. All right, cosine of 30. So you'd be doing adjacent over the hypotenuse. So adjacent is going to be this root 3 leg over the hypotenuse, which is 2. Got it. Let's do the 60 degrees. You do those now. Let's look at sine of 60. Actually, here. There we go. Sine of 60 is from this angle. Opposite that is going to be the root 3. And the hypotenuse is going to be the 2. So notice cosine of 30 and sine of 60 are equal to each other. And if we look at cosine of 60, it's going to be adjacent, which is this 1 side length, over the hypotenuse, which is 2. So you'll notice sine of 30 and cosine of 60. They're the same thing. All right, it's not an accident. It happens. We can also go ahead and get tangent of these special angles. All right, so if we were to look at tangent of 30, remember tangent is opposite over adjacent. So if you're looking from this 30-degree angle here, the opposite from that is going to be 1. Yeah, 1's the opposite, and square root of 3 is going to be your adjacent. All right. If we were to look at tangent of 60, let me write that one down over here. Tan of 60, so from this angle, opposite over adjacent, opposite is going to be square root of 3 over adjacent, which is 1. So tangent of 60 degrees is always going to be the square root of 3. Now, this one over here, I'm going to go ahead and simplify that. Instead of leaving it as 1 over root 3, we're going to rationalize that denominator again. Let's go with, we'll have to multiply top and bottom by root 3. You get root 3 on top, and then on the bottom, root 3 times root 3 is equal to 3. All right, cool. So tangent of 30, the other way to think about that is root 3 over 3. So these are the definitions for the trig functions at 30 degrees and 60 degrees. These are their exact values, not just a decimal representation if you were to type it in on a calculator.